Writing, solving, and checking two-step algebraic equations with rational numbers, part 1. So this is in continuation from yesterday's two-step equations, but now we have some rational numbers. So 0.5h plus 3.5 equals 7. So the first do is by getting rid of the constant, which is the number by itself. So that's plus 3.5. So to undo that, you would subtract 3.5. And so then the second do is the coefficient, which is the number with the variable. So that's going to be 0.5 that's being multiplied with the h. So we then divide by 0.5. Okay, so then I copy my equation over here, 0.5h plus 3.5 equals 7. I'm going to do my first undo, which is minus 3.5. What I do to one side, I do to the other side also. Okay, so what's going to happen here is the 3.5s will cancel out. That means you are left with 0.5h on the one side. Oh, let's finish that. Okay, so now I have to actually calculate 7 minus 3.5. So when I do that, I'm going to do 7. I need to make a decimal and a 0 because when I subtract decimals, I have to line up my decimals. I'm going to borrow here, and that would be 3. 10 minus 5 is 5. So 3.5 is what I end up with. So I have 3.5. Over here, I'm going to copy my equation, my new equation. All right, so now forget the rest. Now I'm just looking at 0.5h equals 3.5. The 0.5 is being multiplied, so I'm going to have to divide. So divide by 0.5 on both sides, and divide by 0.5. Okay, now when I divide, so I'm doing 3.5 divided by 0.5. 3.5 divided by 0.5. I can't have a decimal on the outside, so I have to move my decimal one place to the right to make a whole number. So I need to move the inside decimal one place also. So now I have 5 and 35. 5 goes into 35 7 times. So here on the left side, my 0.5s canceled each other out. So on the left, I'm only left with an h, and when I did 3.5 divided by 0.5, I got 7. So my answer was 7. Over here, copy the original problem, 0.5h plus 3.5 equals 7. And I substitute my value that I got for the h, and I put that in for the h. So that's going to give me 0.5 parentheses 7 plus 3.5 equals 7. So now order of operations says I need to do 0.5 times 7. So 0.5 times 7. Oh, what is that about? Let me get rid of that. I'm a little off, huh? Okay. Times 7 over here. So 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is. Now the rule for multiplying with decimals, you count your decimal places. So there's only 1, so you only go 1 place over. So 3.5 is that answer. So you end up with 3.5 plus 3.5 equals 7. Now I do 3.5 plus 3.5, and 7 equals 7. Okay, so there's my first example. Now I go to the next one. In the last game, LeBron scored 7 points less than twice the points Carlos scored. If LeBron scored 23 points, how many points did Carlos score? So here, the question is saying how many points did Carlos score? So where it's talking about Carlos, that is going to be where my variable goes. Okay, so when I write my equation, Carlos scored twice, or LeBron scored twice, so twice is 2 times, let's say x for Carlos, less than is minus 7, and then equals 23. So my first do is the constant, the number by itself, which is the minus 7. You undo that by adding 7. The second do and undo, the 2 is being multiplied, so that's going to be times 2. And so to undo it, you divide by 2. Copy my equation here, 2x minus 7 equals 23. Undo the first undo, which is adding 7 to both sides. So I'm going to add 7 here also. On the left, my 7s cancel each other out. Okay, so they cancel each other out. So now on the left side, I am left with just the 2x. Bring that down. Then on the right side, 23 plus 7 is 30. Copy down my new equation, which is 2x equals 30. 2 is being multiplied with x, so to undo that, you divide by 2 on both sides. All right, so then here, the 2's cancel each other out. On the left side, you are left with just the x, and 30 divided by 2 comes out to be 15. All right, so now for my check. Copy the original problem, 2x minus 7 equals 23. Remember, just like before, I'm going to take the value I got for the x and substitute it in for the x. So that will give me over here 2 in parentheses 15 minus 7 equals 23. Order of operations, you multiply before you subtract. So 2 times 15 is 30 minus 7. Bring down the equals 23. 30 minus 7 is 23, and 23 does equal 23. So there's your 2 examples. Now again, I go over here. So let's see, my first do is the adding of 6, because that's the number by itself. To undo that, you would subtract 6. Second do and undo is the number with the variable, which is the 0.5, which is getting multiplied with the variable. So to undo that, you divide by 0.5. Okay, and then you finish up the rest. Okay, go to the next one. 4z minus 1.5 equals 7.5. Okay, I'm going to do and undo the constant, which is the number by itself, which is a negative or a minus 1.5. So to undo that, you're going to add 1.5. Then the second do and undo is the number with the variable. So the 4 is getting multiplied. So to undo that, you divide by 4. All right, so next one, 1.5x plus 2.5 equals 7. We look at the constant first, which is plus 2.5, number by itself. So opposite would be subtracting 2.5. Second part, the number with the variable, which is the 1.5, which is being multiplied. So to undo that, you divide by 1.5. And the last example, we've got a word problem. James paid $28 at the go-kart track. He paid an $8 entry fee and $2 for each lap he completed. How many laps did he complete? So I see that it says how many laps. That's in the question. So that's going to be my variable. So when I look back in the problem, I see that it says 250 for each lap. So the 250 is going to get the variable. So 250 will get the variable plus the entry fee, because you have to pay that also, of $8. And altogether, it equals $28. So in this case, the first do and undo is the 8, because that's by itself. That's being added. So to undo it, you subtract 8. Then the second do and undo is the number with the variable, which is the 2.5 that is being multiplied, or 2.50, either way, the 0 doesn't really matter. And to undo that, you divide by 2.5. Okay, so there's those set up for you. You just have to finish up the rest.